Hello, everyone, and welcome to Full-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me this week for our preview slash season predictions episode, review slash season prediction episode. I'm joined by almost the full team. One of them will join us in video form later. While we do, let's meet everyone. Matt, how you doing, mate?
Not too bad. How's you, Ash?
Yeah,
Looking
it's
forward to tonight.
loving the new green kit, showing it off.
Yep.
AJ, how you doing, mate?
I'm splendid, good sir. I'm happy to get back into this.
Yeah, good. Mozza, how you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you very much. Hope you're all doing good.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. And Drew, yourself, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, my friend. Good to see you all.
Yeah, as well as anyone can be doing, considering how this pre-season is going, I would imagine. Lads, obviously this week's episode for the review show. We're going to quickly run over the game that happened on Saturday with Eintracht Frankfurt. Not a load happened in the game, which is fine because it means we can spend a little bit more time talking about the upcoming season and getting our predictions in for a few things. Mozza, you were at the game on Saturday. Not a lot happened, mate. But being at the game, what was your general feeling in the game? Was it positive? Was it seen as a positive game?
For me personally, it was positive. I didn't expect to come away with a win. I didn't expect to come away with us even scoring. In all honesty, I thought we were going to get absolutely battered. The first 10 minutes were very hairy. I mean, how much do you want me to go into depth with it? I mean, like you say, there's not a lot, but surprised that we had a 1-0 win. And for the amount of people that were at Craven Cottage, there was a fairly good atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that there's not really much to talk about. And that first 10 minutes, we almost conceded a few times. We really should have been 1-0 down after a minute, if we're being honest, other than one of the Frankfurt players basically slipping onto his backside. We should have been 1-0 down. But other than that, not a lot really happened. There was some positives in the game. For anyone who watched it as seen the highlights, I thought Josh King looked really positive. I thought that we're going to get a good season out of that lad this season. I'm going to ask Drew this one because I already know the answer and it's going to be hilarious. Drew, does Raul scoring an absolutely fantastic free kick prove that Andreas Pereira doesn't have to be on every set piece?
Can't believe you've done that to me. I was quite sanguine until you mentioned AP. It's just a running joke, isn't it? And oh my days, I'm trying so hard to hold it together here. Got to do my breathing exercises.
Woosah.
Just let me rub the temples a little bit. Okay, I'll be back momentarily. It's beyond the running joke now that AP practices hitting the first man at corners. Okay, he must do. We have other people in the squad that can take set pieces. Raul obviously letting everyone know on Saturday that he was a man of significant skill set. But if he is starting at the weekend and we get corners and we get free kicks, I'll be stunned if AP's not doing it. And, I'm definitely a massive Silva fan, but when it comes to AP, I just don't see it. I just don't see what he sees. I genuinely don't. And can we move on to another question? Because,
I'm sorry.
I've got to do this for another 8 months. Yeah, and
I
said
apologise.
a few weeks ago that if he was still wearing black and white when the season started, I was going to go nuclear. And man, I'm 4 days, right, from literally lighting up the Amex. Yeah.
I can't wait.
I apologise. That was a loaded question, and I knew that it would probably go down the way it did. So, I think, my 10 pence on it is obviously, the 3 or 4 corners we took in the first half on Saturday, considering he wasn't taking them, were all pretty positive. There was a couple that Lukic managed to get head onto that they were all really good put in. The free kick just proves, we've seen Real do that 3 or 4 times for Mexico now, and we've been questioning. We did it 3 or 4 times at the end of last season. I think AJ had a 5-minute rant after one of the Mexico friendlies last year where he was talking about how can he do that for Mexico every single week but not even get a look in while wearing a Fulham shirt. And if I remember rightly, he did score one of those for Mexico, and then 4 days later we saw Andreas Pereira hit the wall 4 times in 5 minutes from free kicks. It's one of those things that it's beyond frustrating, and it needs to change going forward, going into this season. Not really loads to talk about in the game. Matthew, the one downside, I think one of the real big downsides is obviously we now look exceptionally light on that left back. Cesc going off injured. We don't know the extent of that injury yet. We're hoping that he was just taken off precautionary. But as good as the young player coming in to take over for him looked, it is a real concern that we could be going into an opening game of the season with no fit left back because we haven't seen fit to buy one during a transfer window.
Yeah, it's slightly worrying. We don't have cover where we should, and it could kill us. These first lot of games coming into the season could absolutely kill us. But we're Fulham. What do you expect? Would you expect anything different?
No, we don't make things easy on ourselves, do we? Let's go. AJ, I'm going to leave the last question on the game on Saturday to you. Obviously, the game was a bit of a dud. The only real talking point from the game on Saturday was the inclusion and then exclusion of Muniz from a team sheet that was put up online. Are people reading into it a bit too much? We only have 2 strikers, and we know we played them in a behind closed doors game in the morning. My reading into it would be the one that would play in the game in the morning, the one played in the afternoon. But are we reading it a little bit too much that he was obviously in a team sheet and then not?
Yeah, he's still training. Yeah, there's obviously ongoing speculation about his transfer to Atalanta. Whether or not that materialises, we don't know yet. It could just be a push from his agent to ensure that he actually gets a contract worth his time, which I think is something we can all agree is fair at this stage. He shouldn't be on less than Josh King at this point in his career. It's a bit ridiculous. And whether or not he leaves because we choose not to offer something substantial to him, or whether or not he gets that substantial contract, I think he'll probably do what's best for him, and there's not a lot we can do to have a go at him about it. Now, if he leaves for Atlanta and we get good money for him, we really can't complain at him. It's not like the Isaac Newcastle situation or anything like that. This is a player earning tuppence that really shouldn't be. And if he chooses to go off and better his career playing Champions League football, I can't blame him.
Well, we spoke about this last week. We've got 4 players that are technically youth players that earn more money a week than Rodrigo Muniz does. It's such a bad insight from the club that wasn't fixed or wasn't remedied last year to at least, add pay rises into his contract after certain milestones that would have saved us from this. But as we know, and has been proven many, many times this season, Fulham and pre-planning don't necessarily go hand in hand. Well, we're going to move on from the game on Saturday. Obviously, there wasn't much going on with it, so we're going to have a quick talk about the upcoming season. Trying not to go too much into this transfer window. We'll leave that for an episode that we plan on doing when the transfer window closes, and we'll talk about that. But I'm interested in your guys' views on some things that we have to look forward to this season, games that we should look forward to for each other, and then we'll look at, giving our predictions on player of the season, young player of the season, top scorer, and then where Fulham will finish at the end of the season. Let's look at the season coming up. There's a few games that I'm really excited for this season. Anyone who knows me, I have some family who live up in Sunderland, so I'm really looking forward to playing Sunderland home and away. Stadium of Light is a great stadium. I love going there as well. as that. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just interested. You guys will go around really. What game you guys are really looking forward to this season? If anything, a little bit left field, because we know everyone's going to be looking forward to Brentford and Chelsea and some of those London derbies. But Matt, how about you, mate? What game in particular are you looking forward to this season?
Leeds away. Has to be. That's the closest one for me to get to.
Yeah, I think I think that was probably a silly question to ask, wasn't it? But I know that Leeds are particularly close to you, so it'd be great for that. Are there any other games other than the Leeds one that you're excited for that we might see this season?
Liverpool at Liverpool away and the Liverpool at home, because I think the way that we've played against Liverpool the past lot of times, we've done really well and we've shown what we can actually do.
Yeah, hopefully we can push that on. AJ, how about yourself, mate? Are there any is there any game particularly this season that you're looking forward to? You're on mute.
I think probably Wolves away. It sits right on that towards the end of the season, and if it all lines up right, could be our next full-on meet up game. So that could be an exciting one.
I think that will be interesting, especially if the season rolls out how quite a lot of people are predicting that both us and Wolves might have a little bit of a difficult season this year, but we'll talk about that a bit more. Mozza, how about yourself, mate? And don't just say Brighton because it's Saturday and it's on your doorstep. What games are you looking forward to this year?
It's not on my doorstep. I can't stand one-way systems. They need to sort it out. Anyway, back to football. Brighton away? No. You call me a sadist. I'm actually looking forward to Man United at home. I always, whenever we play United, I always go into it with a sense of dread. But for many other reasons other than just what our style of play might be, what players we won't have signed, and all those bits that go with it. Away-wise, I'm very interested in Everton away with their new stadium, how they'll play. I'm tempted to go to that actually, so that could be a potential full-on away day. I don't want you to all make a decision now, but make a decision now. Seriously. Yeah, seriously. As whenever since Marco Silva has managed us after previously managing them, and Moyes being back at the helm, quite intrigued to see how that one will go.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people looking forward to Everton away this year because of the new stadium. I don't have a good record at Everton away. I went to Goodison Park 14 times, and I saw Fulham win none. Whereas my little brother went to Goodison Park 4 times and has seen us win 4 times. So maybe I shouldn't go to that game. To be fair, because clearly I'm the fucking cuts.
Yeah.
Drew, how about yeah, exactly. Drew, how about yourself, mate? Are there any games in particular that you're looking forward to this season?
Mozza's shout was good. I went to Goodison last year, as you know, because I wanted to see the last Fulham game there, and I'm going to Hill Dickinson because I want to see Fulham's first game there. So I'll definitely be at that one. Matt's right about Leeds. I've got some mates who support Leeds, so I will be going to Ellen Road. Sunderland as an away. But the one I'm surprised no one's mentioned, and that is the Parker Bowl. When we go up there and he comes back to the cottage, because I am looking forward to that. But no other reason, just to see him completely mugged off by the whole ground or the away end if we're at Turf Moor, because that's a wound that's still going to fester for quite a while, I think. So, yeah, in terms of an edge game, even more so than Chelsea, it will be Burnley. Aways, I mean, the boys have already probably highlighted 2 of the big ones in Everton and Leeds. And Ash, you've already mentioned Sunderland yourself. So, yeah, you can pick one from any of those.
Yeah, I think, Burnley away is a tricky one because it's a tough ground for Fulham to go to. We don't usually get results there. I'm taking the adult decision not to go to Burnley away this year, mainly because I don't want to have to give Drew any of my money while he defends me in court. So I'm taking the
We'll
adult
do
decision.
mates rates for you, Ash.
Yeah, I'm taking it unless Sparky gets fired between us and playing them, which is highly likely. I won't be there. All right, let's look at this season coming up. We know we've had a difficult summer. It's not been great so far. Whoever people blame for that, the recruitment team, the ownership, whatever. We're not going to get too much into that, but let's look at our predictions for four of the main four of the main sort of parts of this season. We're looking for our player of the season, our young player of the season, our top goal scorer, and our final league position. I've asked all of the boys to have their sort of nominations ready for this. Kyle sadly isn't with us because he's on a family holiday, but he has actually given us a video entry for this, so we can include him into it. But before we do that, we'll just sort of go around the room. We'll start with our nominations for Player of the Season. I'll start this one. My nomination for Player of the Season, unsurprising to everyone, is going to be Calvin Bassey again. He is my favourite player by a long shot. Everyone knows it. Everyone who watched it from last season. The only thing that might scupper that is the 2 months he'll likely be away for AFCON. We have to accept that Nigeria are really one of the big dogs in that tournament this year. So the likelihood of us having no Bassey and no Iwobi for those 2 months is quite high, which is another reason why we haven't added during this summer transfer window. Is annoying. So, but Bassey would be my choice for player of the season. We'll go in a slightly different order. Drew, how about yourself, mate? Who's your nomination for player of the season?
If he plays enough games, Ryan Sessegnon. He came on really strong at the end of last season. He's adored by the Fulham fans. If he's played in his correct position, which is midfield, left or right, but with an attacking emphasis, I think he could help cover up the fact that we could potentially be very light in the striking area. So I'm going with Ryan, subject to any injuries and the position he plays. But the advantage he has over Calvin, and you've already pointed this out, Ash, is that we know we're going to lose Bassey for at least 2 months. Through no fault of his own. I mean, that's just the way it is. But yeah, Ryan's my pick.
Yeah, I think it's a decent shout. AJ, how about yourself, mate? Who's your selection for player of the season?
I've done the same as you, Ash. I think, considering the season we're likely to have, I can't really put it on too many of the attacking players. So it's Calvin Bassey for me. I would also like to potentially put a bit of a dark horse on Anderson. I think he's going to have a drastically improved season this year.
It's the haircut, apparently. I think he's gone for the buzz cut, and we'll see if that works for him. Matt, how about you, mate? Who's your prediction for our player of the season this year?
My prediction for this year is Harry Wilson. I reckon he'll be wanting to get rid of that status quo of being a super sub and get more playing time. So he's going to have to up his game to get into the squad to start with. And I just think the way he finished off just before he got injured last season, it gives him that clear run at going for it.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. Harry's a very well-loved Fulham player, isn't he? Everyone loves him. It's just, he's just been rather unfortunate over the last couple of years that he's been used more as a sub player. But I think it's a good shout. I think he worked his way into the team quite a lot at the end of last season. And one of the advantages of signing absolutely nobody is he's probably going to play. So hopefully he can prove you're right there. Mozza, how about yourself, mate? Who's your nomination for potential player of the season this year?
Mine is Sander Berg. I thought about all of the players that you've just spoken about. The closest in contention to him for me would be Bassey. But I think the way that his style of play, holding up, is very subtle, but he's always there. I can't even remember if I nominated him in our end of season awards last year. I think I probably did, and then he might have lost to Bassi anyway. But yeah, I think Lukic as well is kind of living in his shadow, but I think that's a good thing because I think that sort of inspires him and helps him to step up. I can see him being just a very important player if we're going to start playing it a bit more central as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Obviously, Kyle isn't here with us, but he has sent us in the video. Let's get his nomination for Player of the Season as well.
Me again, Stimpson from the Ful-on podcast, and my Player of the Season is going to be, fingers crossed, Emile Smith-Rowe. He deserves to have a full season, no injuries, and a great performance. Fingers crossed. Emile Smith-Rowe, Player of the Season for me. Peace.
I don't know about you, but I don't think that's a mad shout. I don't think it's a mad shout because I think that if Emile has a positive season, people will look at the season he had last year and they'll see that as a good thing. AJ, you can look across the screen like that all you want, mate. But I think, quite frankly, I think that if he has a good positive season and he comes on strong and he does well, but he's had a good goal scoring form in pre-season. If we can bring that into the Premier League, people will remember that and they'll remember the bad season he had last year and they'll see the improvement and they'll like that. You know, I don't. You guys can disagree with that if you want. I just personally, I don't think it's a mad shout back home.
I actually quite like that, and I think it's very positive. I was disappointed that Emile Smith-Rowe wasn't available or in the squad Saturday just gone against Frankfurt because I wanted to see him play because I wanted to see that improvement. And like you just said, Ash, yeah, he has scored a couple of goals in pre-season, and we've said it before, we've said it to death. We just all want the best for him because there is a good player there. There is a good talent. I don't think that is a mad shout at all from Kyle. So fair play.
It's one that, if it comes good, is going to look like a great prediction.
Exactly. But if it doesn't come good, he can be like, oh well, you know, it is what it is. You know, but it's one of those things. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about what is going to probably be the easiest one for every single one of us to nominate, I think, unless someone's gone proper left field. It's Young Player of the Season. Now, for this category, last year when we did our award ceremony of the season, we gave this to an under-23 player. We've changed it slightly this year and we've gone under-21. But I don't think that matters because we could do it under 19 and it will still be the same person, I think, for every single one of us. So, you know, Drew, we'll start with you, mate. Who's your nomination for potential Young Player of the Season?
Oh, it's going to be Josh King, isn't it? Because he's going to be the breakthrough candidate. I mean, we're not looking at the under 21s or the under 18s. I mean, the under 21s got off to a stunning start to the season tonight. They won 7-0. Congratulations to them. But it's Josh King. I mean, we fretted all summer, didn't we, over whether he was going to stay, whether he was going to go. He signed a new 4-year deal. He's come out and he said that he prefers playing in the 8 or the 10, which is obvious. He's not a winger. We need to play him in the centre of midfield. I would have no compunction about starting him at Brighton, quite frankly, and letting him have a run in the team. I mean, we know what Pereira is. Kyle's prediction about ESR, I think, is not as left field as it sounds, because ESR is clearly a massive talent. But I mean, in terms of young players, I mean, got to be King. It has to be King. If it's not King, then things have gone horribly wrong.
Or someone's had an outstanding breakout that we didn't see coming. Yeah, I think
yeah, exactly. That's the other alternative. But bearing in mind Silva's apparent reluctance to play youth players, I mean, who's that going to be? Seth Ridgeon? Doubt it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think we're all pretty much going to agree, aren't we? We'll just go around the room and just confirm it. Mozza, who is your nomination for Young Player of the Season, potentially?
Yeah, I'm not going to add much more than that. Josh King, not because we say what are the other options, but I've said it a few times. He's shit hot. He was shit hot on Saturday when I saw him. Yeah, like Drew said, compunction. I'd have no moral scruple about it either. It's got to be him.
Yeah, AJ and yourself.
I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I think the backup left back that we're promoting from the under 21s could have a very, very good breakout season, especially with the fact that Anthony Robinson hasn't quite yet got back up to full fitness, and there could be potentially some doubts on Ryan Sessegnon as well, depending on whether or not his injury in the Frankfurt game was of any serious note. Even if it's just for the early few games, it could be a great opportunity for the kid to come out and show a real spark and potentially secure that backup left spot for himself and get a few good run-ins. I think it's obvious that King will do well if he's featured, but in terms of a potential breakout star that we could give the accolades to, it would definitely be him. Please help me if you remember his name.
Samuel Amisa, yeah, Samuel Amisa.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
I miss him. He was very good from what I saw of him on Saturday as well at Frankfurt. Can I just add? So yeah, promise him.
Yeah, obviously he's one of those players that came. We were very lucky to pick up when Brentford disbanded their youth setup. He came and joined in. He's I think he's technically an under 18s player still. So, to be pushing up and playing under 21s as much as he is, let alone, playing some first team football, he could have a good start to the season and push his way in. We do not know. He does look like a promising young talent. So, good luck to him. Obviously, we only ever support the young lads coming through, but we'll see how that works. Matt, how about yourself, mate? Who's your nomination for Young Player of the Season?
I've went with the same as Mozza and Drew. Went Josh King, same as yourself. He's pretty much covered everything. He's just pure raw talent. It's just whether he gets used or not in a squad.
Yeah, and I'm going to add, obviously, my vote is obviously Josh King as well. I think that Martial Godot, I think this year's his last year where he can be considered youngster, where Josh King obviously has 3 or 4 of those, and I expect Godot to have some game time this year. But by the fact that Fulham have been so keen to make sure he's sort of not gone out on loan as much as we probably would have been open to it last year. So he may rival a little bit, but he's going to have to do an awful lot of work to do that. I think Josh King so far has just shown the natural talent and the natural difference making in games to mean that he will. Let's give Kyle's prediction for young player, but I don't think it's going to be that surprising.
Again, Stimpson. Anyway, young player of the season, it's got to be Joshua King. There's no other player. Josh King, young player of the season. Yeah, I think that's everyone's young player of the season. So
yeah, so there's no real shock there. I think that AJ done a good job of sort of adding a separate name in there, so we weren't all completely thrown in. But I don't think it's going to be too much of a
Josh
shocker.
King.
The one that, go on, mate.
I was going to say Josh King is the obvious choice and someone I would have gone with, but I think the situation we've got at left back at the moment might force Moko's hand, whereas Emil Smith-Rowe and Pereira may still keep King out of the squad when it comes to actually Premier League fixtures.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think that King will definitely get way more minutes this year, but we'll see how that plays. Now, this one is a bit difficult, this next category, which is obviously top goal scorer. It's difficult because we don't even know if we're going to keep the strikers we have, or we may bring, we are heavily linked with a couple of strikers coming in. We don't know. So we should add when we go back and play this at the end of the season that these predictions are obviously made before we've signed anyone. But I would love to hear everyone's sort of nominations on top goal scorer for this season. Let's start with Kyle's on this one, and then we'll go around the room.
Stimpson, wouldn't you guessed? Top goal scorer has got to be. Well, actually, it's not got to be. It's in between 1 or 2. I think it might be Raul, but if Muniz stays, it could be Muniz. So, yeah, I'll go for Muniz.
That's some top fence sitting there by Kyle.
Yeah.
I think. So yeah, I'm going to go next. I personally this year, I think our top scorer might not be a striker. I could genuinely see us struggling with the striking positions that we have unless we bring in someone who is more naturally a selfish striker. I wouldn't be too shocked to see our top goal scorer this year being a winger, and I'm actually going to say Harry Wilson. I've just got a real sneaky feeling that he's going to play an awful lot of football, and I think he definitely will during AFCON when we have to move that team around a little bit, and he's probably going to play on one of the wings because Wobie's not going to be there to cover that wing. So I'm going to go for Wilson also because he scored a couple of absolute naughty ones during pre-season, and if he can keep it up during the season, I'll be very, very happy. Mozza, what about yourself, mate? Who's your prediction for top goal scorer for this season?
Sorry, having a bit of a lag. Unmuted. Same. Harry Wilson, the boy put the ball in the Brentford net, the Welsh Wizards. Yeah, I've just got a feeling about him as well. I don't think it will be a striker. I'm basing this on the rumours that we're hearing, who we haven't signed, who might leave. I don't think if Rail is the only striker we're left with before the first transfer window. He's more of a playmaker than, as you said, a selfish goal scorer. Yeah, I've got a good feeling about Harry Wilson. I can't add more than you already have.
So we'll take that one in. AJ, how about yourself, mate? Who's your prediction for top goal scorer for this season?
So my top goal scorer, Andreas Pereira will not be the goal scorer. It will be Raul. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Realistically, he's going to get the most minutes, especially if Muniz disappears. And frankly, he's clearly relied upon heavily by Marco, failing some sort of catastrophe and him getting a terrible injury. It's going to be Raul, and I don't think there's too much question mark about it. I think the wingers will swap out too much for there to be one consistent player scoring lots of goals.
Yeah, I think it's a fair shout. I think I'm just trying to be different with my selection. Matt, how about yourself, mate? Who's your prediction for top goal scorer for the season?
I've went with something that's completely outside of the box here, and I think it could be like sort of something that no one's really thought about, but I think ESR. If Muniz does go, hopefully he doesn't. That'll just leave Raul, and then ESR would sort of sit behind, and I think they do it. So Raul would be the playmaker, and ESR would be the goal scorer. So that's sort of making me wonder, will that come to fortune or not? But I think ESR will be top goal scorer this season.
Okay, I can't argue with that because obviously we've mentioned about Kyle saying he could be player of the season. I think if those two things happen, he would be in with a shout of both of them. It's one of those things, I think yet again, our lack of action in pre-season has meant that we are sort of guessing at what may happen in terms of play. So I understand. Drew, how about yourself, mate? Who's your prediction for top goal scorer for this season?
It's really difficult. I can see the arguments about it being a midfielder. Harry having a full season, that's not as outlandish as the suggestions it may seem. Sessegnon will have a full season, depends how much he plays, but we know he's got an eye for goal. ESR, Carl's already nailed that one. But in terms of a striker, I'm going to agree with AJ that Raul, simply because he plays up front, and at this moment in time, he seems to be about the only striker we can guarantee that's going to be at the club.
Yeah.
That's it really. We are, as you said, Ash, we're recording this before the end of the transfer window and when we've only signed a backup goalkeeper. So, the next couple of weeks can make us all look very silly. But right now, if I'm going to be conservative and hedge my bets, I'm going to side with AJ.
Yeah. I don't think there's a bad shout on that one really. The last category, which is sort of the main one to go by, is final league position. Now I know that there's a lot of talk amongst us, especially Arsenal. There's a lot of talk between fan base online about how bad this transfer window has been for us, and we have to earmark the fact that we are making this prediction off of the transfer window that we have currently seen, not the one that we end with. So we may well be, if you came back to us in a couple of weeks and said, what's what, we might change that. But final league position, AJ, I'm going to start with you because I'm assuming you turned your top round for a reason.
It's
What's
14.
your prediction for
14th.
Yeah, it's what's your main reason for that? Because I just want to know, like, is that a comfortable 14th, or is that we could be in the mire 14th?
We'll be comfortable. It will be one of those, we get to 40 points, don't bother doing anything past that because we're already well out of sight of Europe and stuff like that. It's just going to be one of those plod along seasons where we're above the relegation drop, but not really fighting for much. We might have a decent cup run because of it, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a fair justification. Matt, can I have your prediction, please, for final league position?
I reckon we'll end up 11th this season. I reckon we'll start off really well, and we'll start to drop off once AFCON starts. Once Iwobi and Bassi are back, we'll sort of pick a little bit back up. But round the end of the season, I reckon we'll just fall right to the floor. Stupid results left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I'm going to go to Kyle for this one. Let's see what Kyle's prediction for our final league position is this year.
Final league prediction for the mighty Fulham this season will be top 10. I repeat that, top 10.
Wow, okay. Kyle was very positive. I almost don't know if I like it. But hey, it is very positive and gone to the top 10. He's not here to question either, so we'll just have to hope that that's good. Mozza, how about yourself, mate? What's your prediction for our final league position for this season?
On paper, as it is at time of recording, it's got relegation written all over it, anywhere in the bottom three. But I like Kyle's positivity. I do think about this every day. My head's it changes every day. Funnily enough, I've got 14 in my head as well, as AJ predicted. Yeah, I think it'll be an all right start to the season, and then we'll run out of steam. I think this coming season will just be ever so slightly worse than the last season. As much as Kyle has made me feel positive, that I contradict myself, but that's that.
I don't know why you started speaking here, and I immediately heard Mick McCarthy in my head. It's like, it can't get much worse. It can.
It can.
I don't know why. I don't know why I heard that in my head, but as soon as you started speaking, it hit me. Drew, how about yourself, mate? What's your prediction for our final league position for this season?
I wish I was as optimistic or as high as Kyle, whichever one it is. I would love Matt to be right. I think if we finished 11th, then Silva, we just got to build him a statue with the squad as is. I mean, that would be a stunning result if we got to 11. I mean, it would be cracking. I think the points that have already been made are well made. Everyone, I think, is resigned to a second half season swoon at some point. The thing that concerns me, not only is there a lack of transfer activity, but the squad that Silva prefers, the older, smaller squad, is a year older. Yeah. It hasn't got the depth. It doesn't have the legs. I think AJ is is closer to where we will be. I mean, I think at this moment in time, I think we're probably about 15th squad on the basis of we need a good first half of the season, like Matt said, because the second half of the season, when injuries bite, we lose Bassi, we lose Iwobi, we inevitably run out of steam, especially post-Easter. I can see us falling like a stone. So we desperately need a good first half of the season, because otherwise, I mean, Mozza being Mozza and saying we could be in a relegation fight, I mean, that's not as outlandish as it actually seems. But I think we'll finish around 15th. But the caveat, Ash, has to be that this is before we've signed any outfield players. So maybe Ash will be revisiting this after the transfer window when we do a transfer, an off-season review. I don't know. You're the boss. I'm not. So you'll be saying what's going to be on the agenda. But yeah, I'm definitely near AJ. I think it's actually going to be 15th. But I hope I'm wrong and Matt and Carl are right, because I'd love that.
Yeah. Myself, I've got 15th. I am very happy with our starting 11. You know, we've had this discussion before. I think our starting 11 are great. The problem is it's the players that come in around them that we struggle, and we're going to struggle. If we have one injury crisis this year, look, we had one at the end of last year when we had, Tete out injured. We had, Robinson having to play for 4 months with a ruptured leg, which is part of the reason why he's had to have surgery and is going to miss the start of this season, it looks like. We had Timmy Castagna playing for 3 months with an injured leg because he couldn't miss a match because Tete was the other player that plays in his position who's also injured. If we have an injury crisis like that and it coincides with December AFCON, we could have one of the worst Christmases we've ever had as Fulham. Like it could be really, really tough. And if we can get through and not have that many injuries, we could have a really positive season. Which is why I don't think that Carl saying top 10 is that mad. But I just being a Fulham fan and being who we are, we can't sit there comfortably and say that this squad is going to get us higher than 15th for me. I don't think we're going to be panicking over relegation. I'll be honest. I think the 3 teams that have come up are going to go back down because I don't think they've strengthened well enough to stay up. I think Sunderland have gone nuts and they bought a load of players in, and every single one of them, barring Granit Xhaka, is going to be gone in December. They've signed 11 players and 10 of them are AFCON. Like, it's mental. Like, it's one of those things that I think will be comfortable and stay up, but I think the club know that too, and that could be one of the reasons why we've actually had a quiet summer. And I just really hope it doesn't come back to bite us in the backside, and then we have a panicky January. But we'll see. Lads, thank you very much for joining me on this one. I know that it's been a bit of a long one, but we wanted to get this prediction show in before the season started, and we thought we'd earmark it for this episode because we know there was not much to talk about. I've got one final prediction for the season, and that is that this show is going to keep getting bigger and better, and we're going to keep having fun. There is more stuff coming to the channel. AJ has got a couple more videos, I believe, in these sort of fun series that we've been working on. If you haven't had a chance to watch the reaction video that we made that came out on Monday, go have a look at it on the channel. Me, AJ, and Carl sit down and we watch some funny football moments over the last year, and we react to it. It is actually quite a bit of fun. It's a bit different, a bit left field. I imagine those videos are probably going to come in handy during those quieter days, those wintry months.
We call them the international break content.
Yeah. We have FFC and me back. The first episode is out on the 20th. It's the interview that I did with Kit Simons. So anyone who wants to hear from Kit and his time as player and as a manager at Fulham, I had a great evening, sat down with Kit chatting about Fulham. So that one will be out on the 20th. And the women's show will be starting as well, hopefully in the next month. We may well miss the deadline for the start of the season there with those guys, but that's only because we're trying to make sure that we give quality content coming out about the women's team, because there is nobody else producing that content at the moment. So we want to make sure that they get the attention they deserve and not just a half-assed attempt. So, we will give you as much information of when that exactly is going to start. But we're hoping to be up just before or just after their season starts. Lads, have a good week. I will see you ready for our Brighton preview show that we'll be recording later on in the week, ready for the season starter at the end of the week. Not really much else to say other than come on, you Whites.